Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming on to our live show where we come on weekly to have discussions and talk about different strategies that can enhance your profitability within your medical practice. I am Michelle O'Connor. I'm a business growth advisor, and I help those who are in the private medical space to enhance their profit. We talk about how we can, optimize the processes and procedures that they have happier customers and also a more engaged team that serves. And that's what I help you to do. So today we're going to be talking about just having a short discussion around whether or not medical providers should share their prices, if this should be public knowledge. No, I know persons may be joining from different countries, different parts of the world, and regulations differ. So when we have this conversation today, I want you to think about it in the context of your own regulation. What are you allowed to do or what are you not allowed to do? And that is what we're going to be talking about. Again, we're in a virtual space for this conversation, so I want you to communicate with me in the chat if I'm saying something that you can relate to, something that you disagree with, something you agree with. I want you to put it in the chat. Our conversation today, the word we're using is price. So, every week we come on, we use a word just to know that we're engaging. And if you're joining after, if you're watching the replay, still go ahead. We go back through our videos and look at what persons are saying. So when we think about price, a lot of times persons are confused, and how this topic even came up. I was having a conversation with someone and she was sharing how anxious she became while going do a medical procedure because she didn't know what it would cost. And I thought, what would that be? And somebody else brought the topic to me, and I thought, maybe this is something that we could talk about. So when you publish your price, we're going to share some of the pros, and we're also going to talk about some of the cons. It provides transparency. Persons know what they're getting into. They already know, I'm coming here empowered about the choice I'm going to make because I know what the price is. Persons may also believe that if we share our prices, then it's no, persons are not fully informed. But think about how you're empowering your patients. Think about how knowledgeable you're making them because they already know. And the concern can be that when I share my price, persons will not come. And for me, and I can share my personal experience, I think you more empower patients than disempower them. If you think about the airline industry, there are applications that you can go on where you see all the airlines and you see all their prices. Persons choose based on what persons want to choose. There are persons who will go on and they go all the way down to the most expensive because they have a particular airline that they like to travel with based on the service that they get or based on the rewards that they're getting. So the price alone isn't a factor. I think in one of our lives, we spoke about the cost for a bottle of water. That it changes if you're in the airport, if you're in the movie theater, if you're in the supermarket, but people still will buy. So I want you to remember that, one of the things that you can think about is how much you're empowering people to make the choice that they want. When you empower persons, you give them you get now the opportunity to deliver. You don't really have to defend your price, because if you're already thinking that maybe my price is too expensive, that's something that you need to think about. Maybe you think that your price is expensive and not your patients. So I want you to remember that transparency empowers persons. And when you empower them, then, of course, that is building your profit because they're going to keep coming. I can be sure that whatever the cost is, this medical provider is letting me know before I go in. And also, we're not just talking about medical procedures and operations. We're talking also about persons who do vitamin IV treatment. We have spas that also do medical treatments. I want you to remember that we're also thinking about those persons. So remember, at any point in time, we're checking the chat to see who is engaging and what is being said. Go ahead and drop your comment in the chat. The next concern that persons may have is competition. If I publish my price, my competitor is going to see it. Nothing is wrong with that. And we can see that because there are different industries that publish their prices, and it doesn't deter people from coming in because, again, you're focusing on value. Also, consider that when you're able, when the competition comes together, and I mentioned airline just now, so let's go back to that. It's almost as if the airline industry completely came together and decided they're no longer going to feed us on the airlines, and everybody just worked together. Um, Thanks so much, Shankar. Great. This is very much in line with free market principles. Of course it is, because you don't want to seem like you're keeping anything away from your patients. So thank you for that, Shankar. Right. So I was saying the airline, they all came together and they decided that they weren't going to feed us anymore on the airlines, right? And everybody is doing it. Did that deter us from flying? No. We now started to make more informed decisions about how we travel. And it's the very same thing. When you now share your prices, persons are making those informed decisions. So your prices now, they're now standardized. So when you think about healthcare, I want you to remember that you are providing a need. And if the need is to make sure or to support your environment and the people within your environment, then having these conversations around sharing your prices, you are now helping persons to make more informed decisions, and you're standardizing the prices so persons do not believe that they are in control of a particular environment. And Shankar is asking a very important question here, and I think I'm going to say it as I go through. He's asking if I think that this would apply to every country. So when I started, one of the things I did say is I want us to all remember that because the laws and the regulations vary across countries, where we want to consider the points that we're making in line with those regulations. Because I know in my research, one of the things I was seeing, some countries, you must publish your prices. And there are other countries that allow you to make that decisions. Also, for some services in particular countries, you need to, while you don't need to in others. So I want persons to remember that think about the regulation within your jurisdiction. And that may be a topic that we can talk about in another life by itself, because it may be very important, especially as we travel. As you travel to various countries, you want to know what the regulations are. So we may, thanks for that, Shankar, asking that question. It triggered something for me. So I think we may do a discussion on that in another live. One of the other reasons I got that persons may not want to publish their price is they believe that it will be misinterpreted by the patients. So you want to get them in your office so you can have conversations with them and explain what it entails. No. There are different ways to do that. There are different ways to do many things. And sometimes we're thinking about doing things the way that we've seen it. It could be a short video. It could be in how you advertise. It could be because maybe persons, they interact with you on different points. So when you think about the journey of your patients, if they're coming to your website, what information are you sharing with them? If they're calling you on the phone, what information are you sharing with them? If they're reading about you in the newspaper, what information are you sharing with them? So it now causes you to think of different ways that your patients are interacting with you, and think about what information you're sharing with your patients. So yes, misinterpretation of information can occur, and it now enables you now to share more with your patients. Bring them in. It may not be bringing them into your space to, I'm going to do business with you right now, or I'm going to pay you to do my procedure, but how much information are you sharing so you can bring as much clarity to your patients as possible? So that is a concern. I recently did an insurance online, and one of the things I realized, I'm like, oh my God, this is so easy. Coming from a third world country, doing it in a first world country, you believe that you need to go into an office, or an insurance agent needs to come to you, and no, it's online. Could it be that there can be an assessment that's done online where you're able to bring clarity to all of that? So for every challenge that we think of, for everything that we think is blocking us, what solutions can we come up with to make our patients more aware, or to provide them with more information? And it leads us to our next point, innovation and technology. When there is transparency, what it does is that it causes the industry to start thinking about different ways to do things. A lot of the innovations that has happened in various sector, it was because somebody pushed. Somebody decided that they were going to change need. It was because maybe of competition. No, my competitor is offering the same thing I'm offering, but do they have the DNA that I have? You look at various businesses. I worked in the financial sector, and one of the things that was great about where I worked is customer service was in our DNA. It was at the core of what we do. Other organizations could say they do it, but it wasn't at their core. That wasn't a key differentiator. Person didn't know them to be that type of bank. So when you talk about innovation, you now think of, all right, if there's transparency, what is it going to lead? What kind of transformation can this lead to? Know that company A and company B are offering are charging the same price. What are we doing differently? How does the aesthetic of where we invite our patients to differ? Do we smile? I want to give you my dentist, right? I do have challenges with them sometimes, but I tell you, when I'm in that dentist chair and I get my headphones and I can choose the type of music that I want to listen to, I can, is it too cold? I'm being asked 2 or 3 times if I'm comfortable. Listen, yes, there's insurance as well, but I don't even think about the price at that point in time, simply because the experience I'm having, it's just so good. Of course, we have issues, I have challenges. Sometimes I feel like they need to call me a little bit earlier. I did a video on that I'm going to share here as well, about the reminder. But I love the experience, and they have created something that differentiates them from the other spaces that makes me want to go back. So it causes for that. Maybe you can simplify your process. Coming in and asking persons, oh, I want you to complete this form, and you do nothing with the information, and I come back and I have to complete the same form, and I'm like, but you have all of this data already. What you want to do is to reduce the buying decisions, and we don't look at it like that sometimes in the medical world, but it's exactly the same process persons go through. Once we're spending money, we're making a decision in our minds. So simplify your process, enhance your customer experience. Somebody shared this with me as well. You enter a medical practice. I get it. We're all busy. Somebody's at the desk, they're doing some work, they look up, and I'm like, I'm here. Hello, I'm here. Yes, how may I help you? And you share with them, and then they tell us to have a seat. How about you think of what experience your patients are having? Ask them, take their feedback, because this is now, we sometimes believe competition is always a battle, but it provides room and opening for us to be innovative and creative in how we deliver our service, and different ways in which we can enhance the experience that our customers are having, right? Remember, you can drop price in the chat. I'm looking to see if there are any questions, any feedback that anyone has that they want to share, anything that you believe that we need to address. If you're agreeing, disagreeing, let's have the conversation. And also remember that we're having this conversation in the context of your jurisdiction and the laws that may apply. I know that for some persons you may need to publish, for some you may not need to. So we're just having that conversation to bring to light some of what you can do, because in the end, you want to have profitable practices, you want to have a profitable business, and we want to discuss the various points that could be hindering that. So we'll continue as we continue to check the chat. The other points I want to talk about is education of our patients. When you educate persons, you empower them. And if I know that if I don't, say you're somebody who deal with gut health, for example, you're educating me about what will it cause me to cleanse my gut if I don't eat well, for example. When I'm educated about the impact on my body, the impact on my various organs, the impact on my health, you name it, now you're empowering me to make good decisions about my health. So it's not that you just want me to come in to spend money because I am sick. You want me now to take care of myself. And when you think about your environment and your community that way, you're like, okay, what can I do? I can let them know, listen, it's going to cost you $10,000 if this happens to you. What do you need to do as a preventative measure, right? So you're empowering your patients and you're leading them to have that discussion, whether with themselves, you're able to maybe live longer, spend more time, you name it. It's about empowerment and about making your patients aware. Customer feedback on your prices. When you share your prices, you open up the room for feedback, and that sometimes, sorry, may not be something that everybody can manage. However, ask your patients what they think and ask them why. I shared in something before, when you ask for feedback, ensure that you are managing the question. So, what do you think about our service today? Rank it from 1 to 5. What do you think about our prices? From 1 to 5. Why? And you can hear from them, because these are the people you're serving. You're not just sitting and creating your prices on your own to serve yourself, but you're serving others. Also, if there's anything else that they need to be added. No, I want to use an example of a supermarket. Persons have choices for supermarkets that they shop, and I can share my experience. I like places that have safe parking and space in the aisle where you can walk around. No, that may cost money because the parking lot is a cost. It's not that it's generating revenue. And also, the aisle is all about making, the experience happy. Persons will pay for that. It therefore means that the goods that are at the supermarket are going to be a little bit more expensive than the other one, because guess what? They now have to pay for security if that's needed. They have to pay for additional parking space, and they have to pay for a bigger building so you can have aisle space to move around. If it is that you're charging a certain amount for your service at your medical facility and persons enjoy the experience, they'll pay for it. They will pay for it, and you'll attract the persons. Sorry, I don't know what's happening. Apologies for that. But you'll attract the persons who want to pay. So let's talk about, excuse me, let's talk about some of the things now that persons may be defending on the other side. Like, this is a no-no for me. We're not sharing our prices, right? Now, one of the things that may come up, and remember, let me just check the chat before I move to that one. If you have any questions you have, anything, give a thumbs up, drop the word price in the chat. We're looking to see if there are any questions, any feedback. And if you join after, feel free to also comment in the chat. We normally go through the lives and look at the videos and hear what persons have to say. Now, one of the reasons persons may say they can't share their prices is that it's complex. We need to explain it. There are a variety of factors that may be affecting why we have the prices or the condition that the patients have. So they may need you to come in to have that conversation. Then we're talking about, okay, based on what you are going through in your body or based on what your procedure is going to entail, let's look at what your insurance cover if you have insurance. That could be something that is a challenge for persons as well in terms of publishing prices. No, we just mentioned insurance. So here's another point. It could be that you're based on the insurance company that you have, they don't cover everything. So if I say to you, okay, you know what, this is going to be a $10,000 cost, your next question to me is, okay, I have insurance. What will it cover? Here's something that I've experienced in doing home insurance. What I've noticed is they ask you, so this, remember we spoke about innovation earlier. If you are able to implement a system that now pulls, okay, this is the insurance coverage that this insurance company that I'm with, you're able to input your insurance company, then there is something that tracks it in the background and tells you what the coverage is going to be. No, here's another opportunity that you have. If together in the healthcare sector, you can all decide on using a system to do that. So it doesn't have to be a proprietary system that's owned to only one healthcare provider. And when you all come together to do that, your patients now are more empowered so they can have all the information that they need. We spoke about, now that you're coming together, some person might be like, oh, but there's competition as well. But there is, ways that you can go around that. And we don't want to believe at that point. We said that earlier. Some persons may be also concerned about the misinterpretation by patients. There's a risk that patients may misinterpret the prices that are listed. They may not understand the actual costs. And again, it may vary based on their circumstance. So personally, I'm not going to share my price for that. Let them come in and let them talk to me. Whilst you may have somebody who decided, I'm going to share my price. If there's misinterpretation, let's have a conversation about it. Another concern that has been raised is the quality of care. I may be moving away. If I believe that price is going to be the primary factor, I may not want to come and even have the conversation. And so because I know that it's going to cost me a certain amount, I stay away, and it may impact my health, or I may not have the results that I want because I'm now making this about money and not about my health by itself. Another concern that has been raised is the administrative burden, continuously updating the prices. And when you are in business, one of the things that happens a lot is that things change. And that is why when you think about your practice and you think about where you want to go, it's important that you plan, and plan in a very strategic way where you're thinking about your long term, you're thinking about where you want to be, and you're ensuring that you have the tools and the systems in place to deliver on that promise to your patients. Now, if you know that your prices are going to change, assign that to somebody on your team. If you have someone, have somebody that you bring in on contract or part-time to support with that, so that does not become a burden, because I can see it being a burden if you're only one person. And we did share earlier that this conversation is really being had within the regulator and the legal constraints in your region, because you may have the ability to publish your prices. I mean, it may be by law you have to disclose. Then in some regions it may be by choice. And that's what we wanted to just highlight. So when you think about these points, when you think about, okay, I don't want persons to be shopping for healthcare. I don't want persons to be shopping for healthcare. So therefore, I want to just keep the prices to ourselves. This is what we offer. You come in if this is something that interests you, and then we have a conversation. So I want to hear from you if you thought that these pointers made sense. Are they practical? Is it something that I can think of? I don't publish my price, but know that you mentioned the opportunity for the patient's empowerment, for the patient's knowledge, for the impact on our industry. I may think about it. I don't publish my price, and I'm still not going to publish it. Let the patients come in if this is something that they want and if they want to work with us. But remember, whatever decisions you make, I want you to think about it in the line of the good that you serve. So you're here to serve persons. How best can I serve them? And most importantly, when you think about your prices and you think about whether or not you want to publish them, how is this impacting my patients? Is this something my patients are asking for? Don't just make the decision because, you got some ideas. Is this something my patients are asking for, or potential patients? Maybe persons that have made contact, they've interacted with you on social media. The minute they ask you how much you charge, they take the cost and then they move on. You never hear from them. And then again, reach out to them and ask them, what was the reason? Was this the reason? Because maybe you're telling yourself a story. And Shankar is saying 100%, I have dedicated 5 years of my life advocating for price transparency in the healthcare in Texas, because I do believe that if we're thinking about, and this is, just what I'm thinking, if I'm thinking about that, what the role I'm serving in is for a greater good, what does that greater good looks like? What does it look like? who is impacted by this decision that I'm making right now. So persons can know. They can know where they can go. They can know how they can be helped. They can know what preventative measures are out there, and it doesn't have to be all bad. We can come together. We can make collaborative efforts to be innovative. We can make collaborative efforts, as I shared earlier, probably to create a system or a tool where we're able to share information across different medical services. So in the end, the one person we're here to serve, that are our patients, are empowered. They know more, they can do more, they can make more informed decisions, because they now know that this thing about my health is so important. If I don't take care of it, it's going to cost me X or it's going to cost me Y. What decision am I making today? And so that's what we wanted to talk about. If you have any feedback and you're watching the replay, I do encourage you to share. I am checking the chat before we close. Remember, you can always reach me. I'm going to be sharing my link in the chat. You can go ahead if you want to continue this conversation. You can reach me you can send me a DM on LinkedIn, or I'm going to drop my link to my calendar where you can book a call and we can continue the conversation. And think about this in the light of your planning. Just looking to see if I'm missing any of the questions. So there is the link to my calendar. Go ahead and schedule your call, or you can just send me a DM and we can continue this conversation. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your feedback. I want you to remember that planning is what does it, and think about your customers, put them at the center, and the greater good that you're serving. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.